Look, the guy's a showman, okay? He's a showman. He's been fighting this stock. So suddenly, no, he doesn't have to fight anymore. You know why? Because he's been fighting it as a car company. Oh, but as a tech company.
Basically comes down to this. Do you believe that Tesla will be the first automaker to truly use AI and the next generation of chips in order to deliver truly autonomous vehicles?
He talks about this potentially being a $10 trillion marketplace and that Tesla maintains an asymmetric advantage in that marketplace. Now,
is powered by artificial intelligence and believes it puts the EV maker at an asymmetric advantage in a $10 trillion total addressable market. Jonas also raising his price target on the stock to $400 from $250.
In this video, a very quiet day for Tesla stock after Captain Obvious publishes a new research note telling people who don't watch YouTube and don't read X what people who do watch YouTube and do read X already knew. For some very strange reason, some folks in the mainstream finance media don't seem particularly happy to see Tesla stock surging 10% today. I don't know why that would be. Maybe it's just a coincidence, or maybe I'm just imagining things. So we're going to take a look at some of the very mixed reactions to Tesla's stock surge in the new research note from Morgan Stanley. Don't forget, if you'd like more content and or just want to support the channel, check the links in the pinned comment. You can subscribe over on X for loads of exclusive video content. While you're at it, you can join Patreon for even more video content plus exclusive access to my Tesla fair valuation, which, funnily enough, well, let's just say, why don't you have a peek at my 2023 fair valuation base case for Tesla? If you're on Patreon and you support at the investor level and above, you'll already have access to my Tesla valuation model and you'll already know what Morgan Stanley's just told everybody, except you would have known back when I first published the valuation model in 2021.
Tesla's a big gainer today as Morgan Stanley comes off the sidelines and upgrades the name to overweight. Phil LeBeau with us. Phil, AI, a key reason for the move.
It is. And, you know, Sarah, basically comes down to this. Do you believe that Tesla will be the first automaker to truly use AI and the next generation of chips in order to deliver truly autonomous vehicles? Because right now, they are not autonomous at Tesla, regardless of what Elon Musk says.
Now, I'm not sure what Phil was trying to insinuate there, but an unbiased read of those comments seemed to suggest that Phil was implying that Elon Musk has been telling people Tesla does have autonomous vehicles. It's a weird thing to say. If I didn't know any better, and I definitely do, I might wonder if many of the folks currently employed by CNBS have short positions on Tesla stock, because Tesla's just a car company, and also they don't advertise at all on CNBS, are currently getting their asses handed to them, and they want to make sure that they dampen this very bullish news. Of course, I do know better that's not actually what's going on, of course. They're an unbiased organisation. Help, someone's hacked my computer. What's this? According to Statista, Stellantis' ad spend on CNBS/NBC Universal in 2023 is estimated to be $100 million. Toyota ad spend $200 million, Ford $150 million, General Motors $130 million, Volkswagen $120 million, BMW $100 million. Where's Tesla on the list? Oh wait, they're not on the list. They don't spend a cent advertising on CNBS. Wait, what? Who's controlling my computer right now? It's weird this stuff's on screen. Might as well look at it since it's here anyway. I'm sure my editor can get rid of it later. Ford's ad spend on CNBS and NBC Universal last year was $111.8 million on CNBS alone. Ford's ad spend in a single year, $65.5 million. So, as I was saying, Phil definitely wasn't insinuating anything. CNBS certainly doesn't have a clear editorial bias, skewed heavily by which companies spend large amounts of money advertising on said network and which don't. And I'm sure when Phil was saying, despite what Elon Musk says, that was a slip of the tongue. And it wasn't insinuating that Elon had been claiming Tesla has autonomous vehicles when they don't. Just total coincidence. Let's move on.
Look, the guy's a showman, okay? He's a showman.
Yes, he has always been. There were any number of his reports I can remember that have very exciting titles.
Yes. I mean, honestly. I mean, do you think the Giants are that bad? I mean, this is like a one-hit thing.
Wait, what's the one-hit thing, though, Jim? I mean,
he was against the stock from the beginning. He's been fighting this stock. So suddenly, no. He doesn't have to fight anymore. You know why? Because he's been fighting it as a car company. Oh, but as a tech company. You know what? Jensen Huang is sitting there saying, you know what? This guy is taking my chips because he doesn't have enough of his chips. He's creating brains.
Oh, fuck. That was a wrong clip. I'm going to have to fire my editor. What a dickhead. Why'd they play Jim Cramer going off and calling Adam Jonas a showman, seeming to downplay this massive upgrade on Tesla's stock? Sounds like Jim's kind of mad and emotional. I wonder why that would be. It's not like he runs a charitable trust whose largest position is Ford. It's weird. Wait, does Jim Cramer also work for CNBS? Oh, that's obviously a coincidence as well. It's not like we saw that Ford spends a lot of money advertising on CNBS. Anyway, moving on. I hope my editor doesn't f*** this one up. Make sure you play the right clip now, okay? Back to the original one, not Jim Cramer being very emotional about this price target upgrade from Morgan Stanley.
So as you take a look at shares of Tesla, keep in mind that this call from Morgan Stanley is a substantial one. Adam Jonas raising them to overweight, changing the price target from $250 up to $400. And here's his summation in terms of why he believes Tesla potentially could be in for a long, long run higher. We believe that Dojo, that is the supercomputer that Tesla has built and is working on, can add up to $500 billion to Tesla's enterprise value, expressed through a faster adoption rate in mobility, that's the robotaxi, and network services.
As I mentioned yesterday, took them a while, but the penny is finally starting to drop. And as I mentioned, embarrassing though it may be, oftentimes when someone like Adam Jonas from Morgan Stanley tells everybody, hey, look, there's an opportunity over here, oftentimes big institutional investors and algorithms will go chase after the apparent opportunity that Adam Jonas has just miraculously discovered. I guess not everyone has access to my Tesla valuation model, which has had these same insights for quite some time. And it turns out Tesla stock closed up more than 10% today, up over $25 per share.
Service as software as a service is a big potential within the auto industry, not just for Tesla, but for all automakers. By the way, nobody's really tapped into it yet. Tesla has approximately 400,000 vehicles that have full self-driving technology. Doesn't mean they're autonomous, because they are not, but they have that technology, the Dojo supercomputer, as they continue to refine it and to use the next generation of chips that Tesla is developing. According to Adam Jonas, they could have substantially lower costs. And that's the reason why he says, if you were looking for somebody who could really take advantage of AI and the next generation of chips, take a look at Tesla.
So as Phil points out, Morgan Stanley, better late than never, finally recognizing some AI opportunity in Tesla. Thanks for the newsflash, Adam. And apart from Phil making some weird comment about Elon Musk, despite Elon's claims they're not really autonomous, so far CNBS relatively unbiased regarding their coverage around this new note. So this is a surprising development.
Look, the guy's a showman. He's a showman.
What the? Is that my fucking editor? What are you doing, bro? I was in the middle of explaining how CNBS have been relatively unbiased. You can't just be sticking clips in the middle.
Tesla stock went up 10% today while NVIDIA stock went down. I'm not convinced of it.
Fucking swear, bro. If you do that again, I'm trying to make a point here.
I mean, like, this thing is so controversial. We don't want any of this stuff.
Seriously, dude. I'm trying to make a point. Where was I up to? Oh, that's right. Finally, CNBS has been completely unbiased when discussing some bullish news about Tesla.
He's been fighting this stock. Oh, but it's a tech company.
Proof that the hundreds of millions of dollars that automotive companies collectively spend advertising on the network doesn't at all influence their editorial decisions or their coverage of the one company that doesn't spend insane amounts of money advertising on CNBS.
I just think that this thing is just not really coming together, David. It's just not coming to fruition.
Well, I'm officially looking for a new editor, so if you'd like to apply, send me a DM on my secret OnlyFans account. What is Jim Cramer not being convinced? I'm trolling Adam Jonas and just claiming he's a showman. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. What does that have to do with the point I was making that CNBS is completely unbiased with their coverage on Tesla?
By the way, we're showing you Tesla versus NVIDIA. Keep in mind that Tesla uses NVIDIA chips right now, but the idea being that as Tesla develops its own chips down the road, it will have lower costs and ultimately could get to the end game in the auto industry in terms of autonomous driving much faster than anybody else.
That's a 2-year. Yeah, Tesla up 10, NVIDIA up about 100%. Anybody can't catch up to NVIDIA on that chart, even Tesla, which has been good. Thank you, Phil.
Ed, have others underestimated the potential upside coming through from Tesla around Dojo? This is around, of course, the upgrade from Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, so the thesis from Morgan Stanley, I should say the latest thesis from Morgan Stanley and Adam Jonas, is that the long-term benefits of their work in proprietary silicon and compute, Dojo, could add $500 billion to the market cap. I say the latest thesis because Adam Jonas has talked up the software potential of Tesla before. The first time that he kind of came out with this big bull case call and updated his call on the stock like 70% was in 2015. And he envisioned a future where Tesla operates like Uber and Lyft, a rideshare service, but operates its own fleet of Tesla vehicles, own fleet fleet of robo-taxis. And clearly in present day 2023, that's not yet come true. But Tesla has made a commitment to develop its own silicon and its own compute power to train neural networks. And the latest that Musk has said is that they'll put $1 billion in an R&D perspective into Dojo to make it better. And Morgan Stanley sees that upside coming.
You know, I was trying to make it a Mojo Dojo Casa House in relation to this topic, but I know, right? It would have been funny. But it's a Barbie reference. Hey, Ed, some criticism is that like this valuation, or is this based on an idea? Like it's not material yet. It's just like, hey, if that happens, then this could be the amount. So that there is a lot of uncertainty and skepticism still around it.
Well, so in the first instance, Tesla makes money from software sales of full self-driving beta. Right? Just as they've used price hikes as a lever and price cuts as a lever on the cars, they've raised the price of FSD from sort of $10,000 to $15,000. That's very high margin revenue. What Jonas is arguing is that their working compute with Dojo is akin to what AWS did in cracking the cloud market early, that it opens up the opportunity for them to sell a much wider range of software services and to really own the data that comes from vehicles. And this is so commonplace now. If you think about all the news flow from Ford, Mercedes of the last 12 months, they've really focused on software competence and their cloud partnerships because they know that it's higher margin revenue. And if you have consumers that buy cars at a higher price point, there's also a likelihood that they're willing to spend on software upgrades as well.
Well, this is all true. I don't quite think Ed's getting the full picture here. It sounded like Ed was talking about Amazon Web Services in terms of Tesla unlocking a lot of software opportunity from their own users, and this is true, but a lot of the potential around this note from Morgan Stanley is regarding Dojo as a service, as in third-party companies using Tesla Dojo chips to train their AI on video. Much like today, companies use Amazon Web Services. I think it might take a few weeks, months, quarters, or maybe even longer before some folks in the finance media really start to understand the implications. After all, it took Morgan Stanley a few years to figure it out.
The analyst Adam Jonas is bullish on Tesla's supercomputer Dojo, which is powered by artificial intelligence, and believes it puts the EV maker at an asymmetric advantage in a $10 trillion total addressable market. Jonas also raising his price target on the stock to $400 from $250 per share. So that one of the latest moves here around Tesla, and said specifically investors have been debating for a while whether it's an auto company or a tech company. He believes it's both and sees the biggest value driver being from software and services revenue for Tesla.
And this is a big note coming from Adam Jonas on this particular thesis here. He puts the total addressable market of whatever this is at $10 trillion. I guess the market for the supercomputer for artificial intelligence in general, and talks about adding up to $500 billion to that Tesla enterprise value. That's how he arrives then at the price target increase, which is sizable here. And this supercomputer that I guess Musk has talked about in the past, but this is the first time that Jonas and his team have really dug into it and tried to figure out what it could mean for the company.
Amusing comment there, an accurate one as well from Jenny. Morgan Stanley and Adam Jonas have only really just dug into this opportunity. Welcome to a few years ago, Morgan Stanley. The only material change recently was seeing the V12 FSD demo, which may have been the catalyst for this report, although Morgan Stanley didn't get into too much detail about that. But you do have to take a moment here to consider the strange situation we find ourselves in. The penny has dropped at Morgan Stanley, who've just published a new research note informing others about the opportunity that we had known about for years, that I've been discussing for years. But it's not until a new research note from a big name on Wall Street is published that the algorithms and the big institutional investors go, oh, is there an opportunity there? Thanks for telling us. We didn't know that was, thank you. I guess I'll buy some Tesla stock today. I can't wait until Morgan Stanley release their next big note on Tesla's potential with humanoid robots. And then a decade or two after that, artificial general intelligence. Now, there is actually a lesson here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not just roasting for the sake of roasting. This is why it is important to do your own thinking with your own brain, even if it hurts, so that you can identify opportunities that are available to be known before the big brains on Wall Street think about the same problem a few years after you've already thought about it, seen the opportunity, and been loading up on said company before everyone else figures it out. And by everyone else figures it out, I mean everyone else gets told about it instead of having thought about it themselves, because this is what's just happened. Now, I think the next couple of months are going to be quite interesting for Tesla stock. I expect there's going to be a lot of other firms on Wall Street. Oh, what the f*** are they talking about with Dojo? We need to think about that as well. Could be wrong, But don't be surprised if we see a lot of new reports and notes and price target increases relating to Tesla, AI, FSD, and Dojo. Would you rather have figured out the opportunity before everyone else starts discussing it or after? Something to consider.
He likens it to what AWS did for Amazon,
right,
as perhaps what Dojo can do for Tesla.
Well, Musk has said the same thing similarly before, saying that it makes sense to offer Dojo as a service. So perhaps kind of similar to what we've seen with AWS. There's also going to be a lot of data that's being able to be leveraged and going to be leveraged from Dojo. It's basically AI machine learning, and for video training, using the video data coming from its fleet of vehicles is how the company has described it in the past. And that amount of data, especially across the fleet of Tesla vehicles, that could be kind of integrated in anything from insurance processes all the way through just making the driving experience that much more safe, and perhaps push over-the-air updates as necessary once they get certain data points.
Yeah, and also Tesla is in focus this week because the new Elon Musk biography is coming out. Walter Isaacson's book. I spent part of the weekend reading the various reviews of the book, the various Q&As with Walter Isaacson as well. And one of the first news items to come out of the book was this idea that Musk had blocked Starlink access for the Ukrainian military, effectively preventing them from a sneak attack on the Russian submarine fleet at one point during the conflict between the two countries. Since then, there's been sort of some clarifications coming out. Maybe Musk made the change previously and didn't notify the Ukrainian military. It's whatever the case may be.
Now, I don't want to be rude, but I will be honest. She's such a dumb I mean, just such a dumb That's an Australian expression for a person with a very small brain. Where to begin? First of all, on this very bullish news, since Yahoo Finance support the current thing and the current thing is Elon bad, no doubt they need to get some fun in. So let's just bring up something completely unrelated and irrelevant and also false to try to cause some reputational harm to Elon. P-Brain over here has just quoted some fake news without actually knowing what she was talking about, but just throwing out some headlines she may have read. Just to be clear, what happened recently was Ukraine requested Starlink be activated in a region it was not currently active in order to conduct drone strikes on Russian forces. Elon himself has clarified the Starlink regions in question were not activated. SpaceX did not deactivate anything. He continues, there was an emergency request from government authorities to activate Starlink all the way down to Sevastopol. The obvious intent being to sink most of the Russian fleet at anchor. If I had agreed to their request, then SpaceX will be explicitly complicit in a major act of war and conflict escalation. So once again, I just want to put it on the record. The anchor here is a dumb spreading lies, misinformation, and FUD about Elon in the middle of a Tesla-related article. Oh, over the weekend I was reading something. Oh, by the way, here's some things that aren't true about Elon that make Elon look bad, because remember the current thing is Elon bad because we're Yahoo Finance. What? A pile of human excrement. Can you imagine this is your job?
Welcome back to Next Gen Investing. It's time for a look at a developing story with Kevin Green, senior markets correspondent here for the network. So Kevin, objectively, one of the most interesting moves throughout today's market is Tesla. It is up 9.5% now. Walk us through what's driving shares higher.
Seeing Morgan Stanley actually issuing a research note and actually upgrading the stock to a overweight from equal weight, as well as increasing its price target to $400. That's up from $250. And Jenny, what was actually very interesting is that this note dropped yesterday, like around in the afternoon here, but they're really calling out Tesla's ability to not only command the auto market, but also the software market. And they do believe that the Dojo supercomputing system is going to be the key for Tesla to be able to expand its market share, not only in the auto space, but as well in the software space. And it could add up to $500 billion to Tesla's enterprise value through the enhanced adoption rates in mobility and network services here. So this is actually obviously a big story. And a lot of investors and Tesla bulls have really been talking about the Dojo platform, as well as autonomous driving or full self-driving, as a key factor for Tesla's growth and their ability to also potentially license that technology to other companies that would like to.
Remember this guy? He gets it. Did you note he just described not only the Morgan Stanley research note, but then went on to describe the fact that Tesla bulls and Tesla investors have been talking about FSD, autonomy, licensing FSD, and so on. This guy gets it. He knows what Tesla investors and bulls have been talking about prior to the note. Once again, I'd just like to thank Adam Jonas for enlightening all of us plebs. We finally know about the opportunity with Tesla, FSD, AI, Dojo as a service. licensing FSD and more. If only we had have known a few years ago. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm just going to jump in my time machine, go back to 2021, publish a valuation model that has FSD licensing, autonomy, and so on in the valuation model, come back to today, and then start bragging about how it's been in my valuation model for 2 years.
Expand their EV fleets and utilize their services. So not only are they able to try to train their models and try to put them into the cars right now, but also maybe there's the potential in selling this technology, selling the software, or maybe even selling some time for other automakers to utilize this Dojo supercomputer to train their own models. And I think that's going to be a key area that a lot of investors are going to be focusing on. We just have to kind of keep in mind, we continue to talk about this compute when it comes to NVIDIA chips, and Tesla and Elon has acknowledged that they are trying to get as many NVIDIA chips as they possibly can. But I think the key here is also the amount of data that Tesla has, which rivals no one else in the industry here.
I love this guy. Kevin Green, I think it was. He gets it. He actually gets it. We need to see more of this guy in the mainstream finance media.
So not only are they able to, be the first to get full self-driving up and running, but they're also able to potentially utilize that data set for other automakers that are out there as well. So there's a treasure trove of opportunities when it comes to revenue streams for Tesla. Adam Jonas is obviously highlighting that right now. We're seeing this, about face when it comes to the price target, and that's why we're seeing the stock up higher today.
So Kevin, just to keep things balanced here, if the bearish case argument is that we are nowhere near these robo-taxis, this fully autonomous driving, their FSD is sort of a pipe dream at this point. And I guess you could argue both sides, because I do think this is something that's going to happen. Just timing when that occurs, of course, is very difficult. But what do you think now going forward for Tesla is the most important case for this company? Because we have so many factors. I mean, you have the battery production, you have now this Dojo supercomputer, which is very cool. You have the North American charging standard, which has been adopted by so many players. And then there's the bears that are arguing, margins and the fact that this should be valued like a car company, which I don't necessarily agree with. But what is sort of your stance on Tesla now going forward?
Yeah, there's a lot of different issues, obviously, that Tesla is going to try to address here in the upcoming, not only months, but years. I think the biggest area of opportunity for Tesla, and not a lot of people talk about this, is the energy storage and their battery capacity business here. It's the fastest growing side of their business. And they have the ability and the recognition when it comes to their branding to be able to expand their supercharging stations throughout the United States, and also having the backing of the United States government, no matter who's really in party. And there's a huge demand when it comes to the utility market in itself. It's only controlled by a couple of major players, and Tesla could actually disrupt this business. They're doing it right now when it comes to solar, but they could really expand that if it comes to the battery packs and things of that nature.
On this point, he's absolutely right. Do not sleep on Tesla Energy.
And last but not least, what I will say is full self-driving is definitely a thing. We are seeing it on the West Coast. People are talking about going on, hour and a half, 2 hour rides, and really rarely ever having to touch the wheel. I think really the key right now is going to be how it's going to be regulated as it continues to expand. That is going to be an issue for Tesla down the road, just like it was an issue when it came to the cars in itself starting to gain popularity, or trains or airplanes. The regulatory framework really hasn't been built out when it comes to FSD. I think that could be the biggest hurdle for them. But once again, the technology is there, and if they can show that it's really safe and effective and efficient, then once again, they kind of can lead the horse to water if it comes to the regulators in itself. So I think that's going to be another area that they're going to be focusing on here in the near term.
This guy's an absolute G. He absolutely gets it. Well informed. He understands there's people, especially on the West Coast in the US, doing end-to-end drives in FSD right now in beta, barely intervening, if at all. No question, the most well-informed person on Tesla right now in the finance media. Although, in fairness, it's a pretty low bar.
Yeah, I completely agree. And from my understanding also of FSD, one of the biggest hiccups is the human error element. So I think get this stuff on the road, because if you ever drive in the Midwest, you know that we need as much controlled and help driving as we can get here. So I think this is definitely something that's going to be very, very cool, and can't wait to see what this looks like in real life. But we will leave it there. Appreciate the breakdown on Tesla's nice 9% move higher today. Kevin Green, senior markets correspondent here for the network.
Let's lower the bar a few notches now and head back to CNBS.
Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas upgrading Tesla to outperform and raising his price target to $400. That's about 60% upside. From here, Jonas saying Tesla's supercomputer project Dojo could have a $500 billion enterprise value. So $400, Joe, that's just where Tesla hit their highs a couple years ago. But, we've heard kind of the the up and coming aspects, the new market aspects of this Dojo computer for quite some time. Do you think that something's changed now that would indicate that there's an additional $500 billion baked into this opportunity?
Well, Adam is the one that's suggesting the potential here, and some other words that he uses within the note as he talks about this potentially being a $10 trillion marketplace, and that Tesla maintains an asymmetric advantage in that marketplace.
Now, why does $10 trillion opportunity ring a bell? I'm just trying to, I feel like I don't know, oh, that's right. 10 means deca. So that would be a deca $1 trillion opportunity. Thank you, Adam Jonas, for letting us know about this brand new breaking news. I guess I'm going to go buy some Tesla stock now with every spare cent. Sounds like a big opportunity that people haven't recognized yet.
Now, you hear those words, that's pretty compelling in terms of believing that Tesla can continue its upward trajectory that it's had so far year to date and eventually hit that $400 price target that he has. Again, my ownership of Tesla is equal weighted in its nature. This is a stock that for you as a viewer, you have to understand it's exhibited a lot of volatility over the last 12 months. And I think you have to size the position accordingly to accept that volatility. You're always assuming risk in the marketplace. It's how do you manage the risk? How do you shape the risk? And I think a lot of the problem that investors have in their ownership of Tesla is they get somewhat tempted and intoxicated by the extreme price movement, in particular to the upside, and they extend too much leverage towards the position.
So let's be clear. Anyone who's excited by the extreme volatility in Tesla stock and is making leveraged bets on Tesla stock is not an investor. They're a gambler in the stocks casino. And hey, whatever floats your boat, but that ain't investing. That's betting. That's gambling. High stakes, high risk, high reward, as long as you don't fuck up. Meanwhile, this guy hasn't sold a single share of Tesla stock, has been buying Tesla stock for, well, let's count here, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 8 consecutive years of buying, 0 sales. That is investing.
And that leads you to be somewhat susceptible to the extreme volatility that this stock has. So the fundamental aspect of what Adam Jonas is talking about here in the long term, it's something that we've heard in terms of autonomous driving and self-driving taxis. We've heard about that. I mean, we heard years ago that they were going to offer something that was going to be competitive to Uber and Lyft. We don't see that in the reality of today. So the strong fundamental argument is there. I just think it falls back to more about how do you want to position to that fundamental argument, understanding that you can't, the strength of the fundamentals can't diminish the volatility that this stock seems to always constantly exhibit. That volatility is going to be there. And to me, that's the most important aspect if you're going to own this stock.
It's a total addressable market story, right? I mean,
yes.
if they can get to 10 trillion, that really is very compelling. That being said, the stock's up 110% before today. It's now up 120, trades at 80 times forward. And so I think the question is it an auto company or a tech company? He's now pivoted towards this being more of a tech company.
We've heard
clearly.
that in the past, though, right?
Right. No, absolutely. But this is a company that gross margins are going down, right? I mean, that's kind of troubling. Talk about lack of pricing power, right? They've been lowering prices. So to me, if you're going to pay up for this, you have to really buy in to the autonomous angle and the technology aspect of this company.
I don't think this can be a tech company without the auto company. I mean, the first line from Mr. Jonas's report is investors have long debated whether Tesla is an auto company or a tech company. Now, today it's being valued as a tech company. Last week it was being valued as an auto company because of what you're talking about with gross margins. Here's the thing. I don't think you can get that total addressable market. I could be wrong on this without the auto business doing well so that you've got a customer base upon which to use that AI and get the data that you want. Now, here's where this becomes a problem. Competition has been creeping up, right?
Right? No, wrong. What competition? There's no credible competition anywhere, even in China. The few companies that aren't losing insane amounts of money selling electric vehicles are barely making any. Tesla has the most compelling technology of any company producing electric vehicles on Earth. The greatest scale, they're producing more electric vehicles than any company on Earth. They have more sensor-encrusted robots on roads collecting data than any other company on Earth. Then there's all of the vertical integration, everything from lithium refining to the Dojo chip, FSD, I could keep going on. They're on another level and there's nobody even close. Doesn't matter what aspect of the business you're looking at, whether it's the vehicles, whether it's the batteries, whether it's autonomy, doesn't matter. They're in a league of their own and that lead continues to accelerate. Now to the earlier point, certainly automotive is an important catalyst for Tesla. However, it's not the full story. And I think the gist of this report here, vehicles are one of the many important pieces of the Tesla story. As I've said repeatedly, regarding electric vehicles, Tesla's won the decade. I've been saying this since last decade. It's just a matter of watching this play out now. Some people, however, still unconvinced, claiming competition's sneaking up on Tesla and so on. But there's no concerns about Tesla in terms of electric vehicles. That's last decade's news. We're just now watching it play out. The areas of focus in the next few decades: autonomy, robotics, AI, and sure, throw the energy business in there as well.
And, last week we heard that the German auto manufacturers, at whatever that auto show was, I think it was in Europe, but I forget, that they're really coming on strong.
Oh, no, they're not. Stay tuned for an exclusive video. Not sure if I'll post it on X or Patreon yet, so you may as well be on both platforms. Regarding some of the German competition, the only thing it's coming on is itself. That was a highly inappropriate but accurate thing to say.
We've got a lot of U.S. manufacturers. This isn't the EV market that it was 10 years ago. So that competition that could eat into their automotive business can also eat into the technology business.
I'm not trying to be mean. This guy just doesn't get it. And he admits he doesn't really know. He wasn't really sure about some stuff. So I'm not going to roast him. I am just going to point out there's no credible competition, none to be seen. And the chance that any supposed competition in terms of electric vehicles will then start eating into Tesla in terms of the technology, not happening either. Unless I'm unaware of Ford's secret AI training chip and GM's secret AI training chip that has been in development for more than half a decade and is now actually being used to train there. Oh yeah, that's not happening yet. So, as I said, no credible competition on EVs or any of the technology that Tesla's in-housed, including AI training, autonomy, or anything.
But maybe diversifying the revenue. It has the prospect of increasing their total addressable market, and therefore the stock is up 9% today.
So after the extremely forward-thinking folks at Morgan Stanley publish a huge spoiler alert on the future of Tesla regarding AI, autonomy, and Dojo as a service, thanks for the breaking insight, guys. Tongues are wagging in the mainstream finance media, and for some strange reason, especially over on CNBS and Yahoo Finance, I sense a little bit of negativity, in particular from Jim Cramer, who, I don't know why I'm mentioning this, but last I recall, happens to control a charitable trust whose largest position is Ford stock. Of course, I'm just imagining things. Jim isn't trying to downplay this news. He didn't seem overly emotional, and his reaction was completely rational, reasonable, and made a lot of sense. I would like to leave you guys with a little bit of a prediction. As I mentioned, I think the next few weeks, months, and maybe even quarters are going to be rather interesting. So keep an eye on what the sheep on Wall Street have to say now that Adam Jonas has finally told us what we already knew a couple of years ago. I will not be surprised. We see a lot of new notes and price target increases with the words Tesla Plus, AI and or Dojo as a service and or chips and or AI training and or FSD and or autonomy and or robotaxi. But what would I know? Just some guy on the internet who's always wrong about everything. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point and something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 shit, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, snake oil salmon sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link at the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.